Right, you lot, have you ever seen this screenshot before? I bet you haven't. Well, this video is going to blow your mind and what you thought was possible in life, and therefore it's going to give you some optimism moving into your future, but also for Man United fans in particular, their future of their fandom, okay? Now, first things first, let's talk about Man United versus Brentford. It wasn't smooth sailing for Man United against Brentford, and there were a few reasons and things missing from the team, clearly, that showed themselves as the game went on. But what were those problems? That's why you're watching, and I'm about to show you. So Bruno Fernandes played on the right. Mason Mount, therefore, was able to be deployed in the number 10 role, which is a position that we all know that he's done really well with Chelsea in his past. But with Bruno Fernandes, there was a bit of a problem when it came to the heat maps and his positioning, because although he started off on that right-hand side, we can see that he picked up the ball frequently on the right-hand side, but he also came centrally. He also went over to that left-hand side as well because he wants to get involved in the game. And as we've previously said, he enjoys playing in that number 10 role. Problem with that, it harmed one player in particular. Yep, you've guessed it, Mason Mount. Have a look at his heat map. And you can see that I think we may have found the first problem here with this system. Look at Mount's touches and how far less intense they are to Bruno's. In 63 minutes, Mount only had 37 touches and had very little impact on the game, with only one key pass and only 2 progressive passes. The lack of touches around the box, I think it was pretty glaring. It's the biggest concern for me, certainly. And I don't think it's all Mason Mount's fault. I think more so, I think it's because Bruno Fernandes is a bit of an alpha. And I think he was picking up too many similar positions to Mount, which forced Mount to stay out of the way at times, which is something that actually feels like a weakness, sounds like a weakness, but is actually a strength. He wants to go and find the space for the team. But the bottom line is that it took away from his game and his impact hugely. But look, the positive side of this is that with everything there is an opportunity for learning, and this may provide Erik Ten Hag with the most useful piece of information yet. And believe it or not, Joe Linton, that's right, I said Joe Linton, could be the one that holds the keys. So this is how Man United finished the match against Brentford. Now, there's a few things to note here. They were 1-0 down until the 93rd minute, which means that this is the most gung-ho Man United team that you're ever going to see. However, there is one aspect of this crazy lineup that Erik Ten Hag will no doubt, I truly believe this, he's going to consider this when it comes to his next lineup. Let me give you a clue. Scott McTominay. Now, as you can see on the thumbnail, I am screaming the words, hear me out. So hear me out, right? First of all, stats are hilarious on the face of it, but are actually, they're the most useful thing in understanding how he could fit into this team in a position that Man United have never played him in before. So McTominay came on in the 87th minute. During the 11 minutes that he played, he only got 5 touches. But in that time, he, of course, got 2 goals. And believe it or not, it's the lack of touches that could be the most insightful and valuable things to come out of all of this, after the 2 goals, obviously. So this is a screenshot from McTominay's first goal. It's hard to make any overarching tactical conclusions from a game that was won in this manner because, you know, Man United have got 5 or 6 players in the box at any given time due to them chasing the match. But what is for sure is that McTominay's positioning was no fluke, nor was his finish. It was instinctive and it was incredibly impressive. And before we say why that is, we need to take a look at the second goal. So for that second goal, the ball here is floated to the back post. I'll try and circle it for you because it's a tiny little thing, but there it is, okay? And it's going to Maguire here at the back post. But look closely. Look really, really closely, because who is the player most advanced and anticipating the ball coming to him, expecting the ball to come to him? I'll tell you exactly who. Scott McSauce. There he is, right there. And you can see exactly what I'm talking about if we zoom in. There he is, in front of the opposition, anticipating what is going to happen. And then, of course, if we move it on, which hunk of Scottish beef is ready to get himself on the right side of the Brentford defence, free to head home the winner in the 97th minute? Again, it's absolutely no fluke. It's our boy McSauce once again. This all boils down to him having the natural predatory instincts to find space and engineer his own luck. Now, I know you're rolling your eyes, but we're not stopping there. We've dug deep into the archives to find something that many people never knew existed until now. We have found the McTominay goals from the Man United Academy days when he played as a striker. This screenshot is from when he was playing as a number 9 for Man United's under-18s, and it's actually very, very relevant to that Brentford match. He's the number 9 here. Now, firstly, we see him occupying the centre-back and the right-back, and he has eyes on the ball that's about to come in, a bit like that Brentford game. And if we move it along, what are you going to see? Well, you're going to see something that's scarily similar to what happened against Brentford. With the ball coming in from out wide, McTominay has already made that run past the defenders, and he finds himself with an easy chance to finish and score a goal. This is exactly what he did against Brentford, and I think the key takeaway here is that he has those striker instincts. But when he was playing up front for Man United's youth teams, he wasn't just a target man. In fact, he was a bit of a monster in those half spaces. This is a screenshot from a match against PSG's youth team. He picks up the ball with his back to goal, but uses his mobility to draw in the centre-back and spin in behind. He then opens up his body and strokes it into the back post area. As a striker, he ticks a lot of boxes for Man United's youth team. I get it's a step up, but he himself is a man now, and he was playing here as a youngster. But what's in between his ears remains, you know? And so again, coming back to that striker's instinct and the lack of goals that we're seeing at Man United and the goals that he provided in that moment when he had that freedom, it just feels pretty pertinent. Now, can I just say, McTominay up front is not the answer for Man United. But this might be the answer for scoring goals in the meantime. Now, looking back at how Mount struggled to get a grip on the game due to a lack of touches, maybe a simple swap, and of course, defensive positions, there would be swaps as well. But from an attacking point of view, the lack of touches that McTominay would want could well suit, for a small time, Man United to sort of get on their feet, score goals, and allow Bruno to thrive. Bruno has showed that he can still be very creative, starting off a little wider, but then, you know, getting into those central areas and having that freedom himself. And with McTominay in there, you've got a player who doesn't want a lot of touches. You know, he wants to focus more on getting himself in the box, penetrating the box, and going past the striker into the box as well. He has that energy and stamina to do that. He also has that physicality to do that and work around with the scraps as well. So Fernandes starts from wide, and from a defensive point of view does that as well. As a defensive unit as well, that offers a lot more as well in terms of physicality. Fernandes is able to do what he wants, and I think there could be a synergy there with how Man United lined up against Brentford, obviously in a much more gung-ho approach. I also think that McTominay's best position is further forward because he shows it for Scotland on a regular basis and how clinical he is in the box. We were speaking about it earlier. Joe Linton showed how a player should never be pigeonholed, and that's exactly what we shouldn't do with McTominay because, well, you never know. If you want a better understanding of what happened with Joe Linton, then we did a whole video on that, the changes that were made and why he was a perfect profile for his new position. Bit like McTominay here.